So welcome, listener, to another episode of Travel Living. I'm your host, Polo Lam, and today we have another very, very special guest. She's a sister of one of my very good friend called Felix. And we today are going to try and inspire more African people to meet the Hispanic world. Without further ado, please, Amara, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Amara. What about myself?
Everything.
I'm 22. I recently just graduated from Loughborough University, studying politics with a minor in Spanish. And I guess I traveled a bit in the Hispanic world, in uni and with uni, I guess. What else about me? Yeah. Is that it?
No,
I have a podcast.
You have a podcast, exactly.
Let me plug that. I have a podcast which is about the representation of Black women in film. It's called Our Stories They Tell. You can find us on all podcast platforms.
Of course, we'll try and put that link on at the end.
Exactly. Yes, please. So we just want to talk to you. I'm just here to talk to Polo about like my experience and why I think it's like a good experience to have and why I think other people should try it out at least.
100%. Thank you, Amara. So the first question, I always do a throwback. So when did you start learning Spanish and have any sort of interest in the Hispanic world?
Okay, so the first time I started learning Spanish was I went to school in Nigeria and then I came back to England for part of secondary school. And in Nigeria, they mostly teach you French because obviously we're next to a lot of Francophone countries. But when I came here, they decided to put me in a Spanish class. And I was really annoyed because all of my other friends were doing French class. And I was like, why can't I just continue with my French?
Of course, because you already know it.
Exactly. And I was really annoyed. And I was like, oh, teacher, can I just go into a French class? But then they made me stick with Spanish. And I learned that Spanish was actually easier for me than French. And so I did Spanish up until year 11, where I did IB, which is like a route to get into university. And then I changed to Italian, hated Italian. And then when I went to university, I picked up Spanish again as part of like my course. So that was like my route to.
I didn't know you. So how come you didn't continue with Spanish in IB?
So the Spanish level that they teach GCSE, so the Spanish level that they teach GCSE in England is actually you're not proficient enough at the end of that to go to an IB level. I didn't know. Yeah, so even though I got an A star in like my Spanish in GCSE, I was not proficient enough to go into like a intermediate level in IB. So I had to take something ab initio, which is like beginner. So the ab initio that I had to take that they had available was Italian. So I just had to do Italian.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Because I didn't really get it. Like, obviously it should be, what you're going to level up, a level up. Do you know what level, like in the European scale, like IB would have been?
I'm going to say B. It was probably B1.
B1?
Yeah. Wait, which one is higher, B1 or B2? I can't remember.
B2 is high.
Okay, yeah, I would say B1. Like you probably have to be a B1 to go into Spanish. And they were not teaching at a B1 level in GCSE. No way.
Were we that bad in GCSE? Because obviously, like, we were at the same school. I did the same GCSE Spanish as you. Were we that bad?
Yes, we were. Yeah.
Because really, like, obviously, I learned a lot more since coming to Spain. But I don't remember learning that much more, like, because I came to Spain at the beginning, I mean, from the GCSE level I had, because obviously I only had GCSE level as well. But I don't know, like... Yeah. That's crazy. No, I thought it was like A1, A2, you know, at least.
No, it wasn't. No.
It wasn't even that?
No. No, it wasn't. I think maybe A levels, at the end of A levels, if you take A level Spanish, then you're much higher and it's like maybe it's like A1. Yeah, it's higher. But if you just did GCSE Spanish, there's no way you're, nah. And also I found out in university that I'm actually dyslexic. So it makes sense that I learned Spanish better because Spanish, the way you read it and the way you pronounce it is the same, whereas French, you know, it's the way you read it is different. Italian is the same. The way you read it is different from how you pronounce it. So like it makes sense that I got into Spanish and I could get the flow of Spanish much more easily than I could.
So that coincidence, coincidence and the teacher forcing you to stay in that Spanish class changed your life a lot.
Yeah, it did. It really did. It's true. It really did. But yeah, so as far as like wanting to be part of explore the Hispanic world and stuff like that, obviously we went to the same school, so you know that we had a lot of multicultural people there, a lot of Europeans, a lot of Latin American people, like people that were from Brazil and stuff. So it made me interested in like Latin America and then Spain specifically in general. So I think I already had that interest and I carried that with me to university.
100%.
Where when I had the option to choose.
Did it grow more? Did it grow more when you were at university? The interest?
Yes, I would say it did because when I had the opportunity to take Spanish in first year, I was like, oh yes, let me do it, and then through that it grew more. Yeah. Yeah.
Did your level go up at university?
Definitely, because it's just a different ball game, and our teachers were actually Spanish. Okay. And they were going through the tenses quite fast. The speed of the program was quite fast. They were going through the different tenses quite fast, and people, since it was an optional course, you wanted to learn. Whereas in GCSE, you were kind of forced to learn.
It was a credit, like it was one of those like optional credits where you can just pick. Yeah. Nice. Oh, you're lucky because like I wanted to take that, but I never had the chance. So.
Oh no, yeah, I know some places really are strict with it, like
timetable and all that. You know, whether it fits with your timetable, etc.
Yeah.
So that's annoying because I knew like I would have aced it. That's why I would have wanted to do it because
that's part of the reason I wanted to do it too, because I was like, oh, this is going to be an easy like
course.
First.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you will learn, as in you will actually learn something that you're interested in. Which is not most of the case at uni. You know, you're forced to take a lot of subjects that you're just like, why am I actually doing this? So
it's true. And I think I had that misconception of uni. I was like, oh, since I chose the degree, I thought everything in that degree I would be interested in. That is not the case.
Not the case.
Not the case. So Spanish was like a nice little relaxing
100%.
Class that I actually wanted to be in.
To break away with. So for those who's thinking about going to uni, maybe you should just learn Spanish and like actually fuck off to another country and do something else. Because I didn't even like uni myself, so like
no, really.
I didn't, but that's just my experience anyway, but I can't talk for everyone obviously. But anyway, let's move on to the next part, which is so when did you go to Mexico? It was Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about how that came about. Like obviously you have the interest, you did your course. Was it your first year you did your extra?
Yeah.
So you did that course, you have your Spanish now, you're ready. So what happened next?
So the Spanish course I was taking increased my Spanish proficiency level. And then my university was quite big on volunteering. They had a lot of volunteer schemes, especially volunteering in Loughborough, but then there were a few that was volunteering abroad. So I went for like a day, a fair, volunteering fair basically. And I was browsing around and then I saw one that was like, volunteer with kids in Mexico. And I was like, that sounds so cool. That sounds like amazing. Like I would really, really want to do that. But I wasn't sure, like the application process was kind of rigorous. We would have to do an interview and I wasn't sure if I would get picked or not. But because I had Spanish prior, I guess, and I was quite enthusiastic.
You were keen.
I was keen. And then I was talking about how I had cultural experience in other less developed, I guess, if you want to say it like that, or lower income countries, because I'm from Nigeria, and things like that. And I've volunteered with things in the past. I guess that kind of all like rounded it up. And then I was able to go get on as an applicant for this and then go to Mexico.
Nice.
And I applied with my friend as well. And thank God we both got it.
You both got
if
it.
we
Okay.
one of us didn't get it, it would be awkward.
So you
But we
actually went
both got
together.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we
That's
went
lucky.
together.
That's nice. That's
Exactly.
nice. Is it paid? Like, not paid.
was-
I mean, like, is paid like for the cost? I mean, like to get there, etc.
No, we had to raise the money.
Okay.
So we had to, number one, we had to raise some money for the actual charity. So I can't remember how much it was now, but we had to raise some money for the actual charity. And then we had to raise money for ourselves to go on the trip. So I had to do some fundraising. We like sold cakes and bake sales and things like that. And then also I kind of like saved up a bit and then like just put it in because
You had to do that as well. Like you had to put your money in. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fundraising girl. Like you could definitely fundraise the whole thing, but I'm not one to fundraise. You can also apply to like grants. There are companies that give volunteers grants to go and volunteer. So yeah. So if you research that, you can definitely apply to like
Private companies.
Private donors.
Okay.
That literally give you money. If you apply for the grant, they'll give you money to volunteer.
Do you know like a specific name for one, maybe? If you remember, or you can research it on your computer.
Yeah. Okay. I will come back to you. I'll give you the
no problem. And the link. I will put on the link and make sure people are looking at the link
exactly.
wherever they're listening to this. So yeah, that's great information to know. Okay, so the next part, obviously, okay, great. We know that your university had the infrastructure, they had the fairs, they provided you with this opportunity. You had to go through a very rigorous selection process. And now the listeners should know more or less that if you're keen and you know a little bit of Spanish, that helps your process. But then the next thing I think is probably even more challenging is how did you convince your family? So I know how, African families, they do have some perception on certain things that they might not like, or they're afraid that their kids will get into trouble if they went somewhere else without them. So how did you convince your family?
Yeah, I think convincing them, because before I went to Spain, I went to Mexico, and convincing them to go to Mexico definitely helped me out when I was going to Spain.
Exactly. So how did you do it? Exactly.
But the first thing I'd say is, once you've broken through one thing and they've allowed you to go to do one thing, that opens the doors for you to do other things. So I feel like it's a case of trying it early to open doors. Like even if you have a little grad trip with your friends, or like after you finish A levels or IB, you have a trip with your friends abroad 100%. By yourself, just so you can they can know that you are independent. I think that really helps, like advice. Building their own confidence.
Did you do that? Did you go on like an interrail?
I went to Italy with my friends to Rome for like 2 weeks.
Did you do that car thing? Was it you that did?
Yeah, I did that.
Is it that time though? Was it that time?
Was after.
That was after. All right, okay. We can talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, we'll come to that. That was really fun too. But anyway, but yeah, so the Mexico was definitely harder than Spain, because even my brother was making, it was the first time. My brother was making fun of me, saying like, "Oh, you'll get kidnapped by a cartel."
They'll get narcos on you.
Exactly. I was like, you've been watching too much Narco. Like, that's not what it's like. My mum was worried because it's so far away. It was like 6 weeks. And they didn't know what was going on, where I'd be staying. So the second thing I'd say is like, just even if you have to do like a PowerPoint presentation, just give them all the information about what you're going to do. So it looks like it's planned and it's planned out. I mean, not just it looks like it should be planned and planned out, obviously.
100%.
But like if you relay them the information, it will make them feel much more at peace with like what.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, so I just told her everything that I was going to. This is the hotel. This is the number for the hotel. This 100%. Is where we're staying. This is who I'm going with. Also, the fact that I was going with my friend, my flatmate from uni, helped as well.
Of course.
And I think it helped. She's Asian. She's Indian. And her parents were kind of skeptical too, but I think it helped them that I was also going. And my parents were skeptical, so they're like,
they're from the same pool of traditional families.
Exactly. Like if one person's letting their child go, then like, it's like safe.
It
I
can't be
guess.
that bad. Yeah, make sure if your parents don't let you go, just tell them to listen to this podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. I came back
Another
and I'm
child
fine.
has gone. Exactly.
Um, so yeah, so give them as much information as possible, and just like remind them that, you're going to have to do these kinds of things eventually. Like it's your life, and not in a rude way, but just be like, I want to do it. I think it's a really good opportunity. I really want to volunteer. I really want to see the world, and you just have to. You need to let me go. Also, I would say don't phrase it as a question. Say,
Can I go? Like, don't say,
don't
can
say,
I go?
can I go? Don't do that. Say,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to, if you're old enough, at least, like if you're over
Of course.
18,
Of
say,
course.
I'm going to go to Mexico. I've applied. I really want to go. Hopefully, if I get it, I'll be going. And that way, there's less room for negotiation because you're not asking.
100%.
Like, they can't say, it's not a yes or no question. Like, they can't
Action
say
first.
that. Exactly.
Questions later.
Exactly. So
Love that.
That's the advice I'd give. And, maybe tell them in advance so you can cope with the back and forth and they can relax into realizing the situation.
Did you run into any challenges when you were looking for accommodation, hotels, whatever? Where did you stay? Where did you?
In Mexico, I stayed in Puerto Vallarta, which is like on the west side of Mexico near the coast. It's actually quite a popular holiday destination. It's one of the major LGBT plus holiday destinations in Mexico, which I didn't know until I got there. But they're used to tourists, and thank God the charity set it all up. We stayed in like a hotel the entire time. They set it all up. They set up the transportation that we needed to go to the place that we volunteered. They organized a lot.
They organized everything. Okay. Yeah. So you had a lot of help. So you said obviously you had to pay for your cost. So even the hotel you had to pay for.
Right? Yeah, but because there were 14 of us around, it didn't cost that much.
Okay, so they did you or they? Who organized the 14?
They pulled the money all together. So the charity is actually quite small. The founder and 3 other people that she works with kind of organized the whole thing. So when we raised the money, we gave it to her. She pulled the money all together.
What's the name of the charity?
It's called the Siva Foundation.
Okay.
The Siva Foundation. So she pulled the money all together, and I got the flights. She booked the flights in advance, and then we gave her the money back for the flights. Obviously.
Oh, okay. So you got help in that. That's good. That's good to know. So it was smooth. The whole process.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I go to Latin America and I have to do it like on my own, I'll let you know.
Then we're doing another episode on how to do that, because even I have never done it, and I'm sure it's not as easy as traveling in Europe, for example.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Right? So great.
I was going to say with volunteering, volunteerism is kind of a sticky one, because especially if you're going from a UK university and you're going to like a less economically developed country, there can be an element of white saviorism, as in like, oh, you're here and you're going to like take care of these little brown kids who don't have like parents, and things like that. The optics of it and the power dynamics can be quite skewed. But I would say like you should really research the charity that you're going with. Make sure that if you're going, you're not just going with yourself with no skills or things to add to the context that you're going into. For example, they send a lot of people to African countries they send a lot of university students to African countries to build hospitals and things like that. 100%. They have no construction skills, no building skills, nothing like that. And they go and they build these things. And those structures have to be taken down.
Because they were shit.
Because they were bad, because you don't have any skills. So the good thing about the Siva Foundation is like I was going there to teach English and things like that. So they paid for me to get a course, a teaching English as a second language course, as a foreign language course. So I was prepared when I got there.
So they actually paid for this course before you even
I went, yes.
Nice.
Because so I was there and I was prepared and I was actually adding things to these children's lives instead of just, you know, taking Instagram pictures and posting them as if I'm doing.
Basically, know yourself, know your abilities.
Know your abilities, know the company, and know and try and find out if they are engaging in kind of white saviorism with their volunteering, and make sure like when you're going to be contributing things to the people, the community that you're entering. Yes,
100%.
But that's what I would flag. And also, you can be Black and still be a white savior, because because you're coming from a.
That sounded so funny.
Yeah, but it's true. You can. It's like it's a framework. Like you're coming from a colonial country with a you might have embedded colonial mentalities and be taking that to another context.
Of course.
Just beware of that.
The British mentality.
Exactly.
100%. I get that. Wow, that's actually very interesting. I never thought about that. I mean, I've been taught that a little bit before. I can't remember in what lesson, maybe in one of those like optional courses around like volunteering. I did one, like a big 30 credit course on social justice and whatnot, and they talk about like greenwashing, like, you know, and this is related. So I do know it kind of, but yeah, I'd never thought of it in that angle.
Yeah,
that was very interesting. So let's go to the next part, which is when you arrived. So what was your impression? Boom, like when you arrived, like was it what you expected or not at all?
When I arrived, I was extremely tired. Because it was like a 13-hour flight, something like that.
Shit.
I was extremely tired, but I was like, oh my God, I love it. I was like, this is great. It reminded me a lot of Nigeria.
Is it?
Yes. the buses that they have that like run through the place reminded me of Nigeria. The streets, and the vibe. There was a certain vibe of the place that reminded me a lot of Nigeria. And I was like, this looks great. I think it's going to be a really amazing time. And I was right. It was really fun.
Nice.
And it was interesting because this is when we arrived in Puerto Vallarta. We're staying in the city, but the places that the communities we were going to help were in the outskirts. And they actually lived on what was formerly a dump. So a dump that they had recently covered up. And they lived there. So when we got there, like it was obviously completely different. The buildings weren't like full nice buildings that you get in the city. And yeah, the children did not look like the children in the city. And I think for a lot of the people I was with who had not seen that before, I'm talking about the white people, sorry. Or the people that had never been to this a country like this before, right? It was extremely jarring and shocking. And it was, what I will also say is like, you need to prepare yourself because you don't want to like go into these people's communities and look like completely sad and stricken, like that they're living like this or whatever. You need to, because if they're inviting you into the community, you need to look happy and glad that you're here and thankful.
Try to give them hope and something more to look to, rather than more sadness and
exactly. Like, and nobody wants to feel pitied, right? And this is like the place that they live. Like, you don't want, if somebody came into your apartment and was like, oh my God, like what the hell is, you would feel away. So equally they feel away. So a lot of people were like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. This is the first time they've been seeing anything like this. But me and my friend who was Indian, who had like been to India back and forth like her whole life, were like
normal. This is real. This is real world, you know?
Exactly, it's real. Like it's real.
World.
It's real. But I think because we were able to get over that quicker than the rest of some of our colleagues, we were able to do things faster. And get into the swing of things easier. Did
you help your like colleagues in some ways? Like
I helped them by telling them like, listen, like you can't have that look on your face. You just need to snap out of it, basically, kind of thing. And by like reminding them of what we were there to do.
Yeah.
Basically.
Nice. Nice.
So
nice.
yeah. But Mexico in and of itself, amazing, best place I've ever been to. Puerto Vallarta, lovely, amazing, brilliant. I can't say any more good things about it. It was the best. It was amazing.
Nice. Nice to know, because I want to go as well. Like, I'm really, obviously, like, and I know Spanish now, because so then it's stupid not to utilize that and visit Latin America.
Exactly. And the Spanish there is easier to understand, I would say.
You think?
Yes. They have different slang and stuff, but if they're talking to you in basic, like in Spanish, like conversationally, basic Spanish.
If they're not singing to you and rapping to you.
Exactly. It makes more sense to me. Like the pronunciation is better, is like more literal. It's easier to understand. I don't know how they've broken it down, but like they've broken it down and it's easy.
Nice. I mean, they did, not they, some Spanish people have told me that Mexico has the most neutral accent.
Okay.
Spanish accent in the world. Like, they speak the most perfect, like, because you can't, obviously Mexico is one country out of a lot in Latin America. So like, if we were to go to Puerto Rico or something, like, those people don't even pronounce their R's. And most of the words have R's in it. So we wouldn't be able to understand as easily. Or if you go to Argentina, they have another accent with the double L's. It's weird, you know? So
it's weird.
I think, so if you want to learn Spanish, then Mexico could be a good place to start. Yeah.
True.
No. Did you speak any Spanish when you were in Mexico?
Yeah. With the kids, even though I was teaching them English, I would have to explain things in Spanish. They would talk to me in Spanish, and I'll try and reply in Spanish. Nice. And then, when we were going to restaurants, to shops, when we were going out, because we went out like dancing, clubbing or whatever, we'd have to speak Spanish, even though a lot of people was tourists. But in that kind of situation, I would have to speak Spanish. But there were people with us that could speak Spanish, so it wasn't as much as like when I went to Spain, for example.
Yeah, I get you. Nice. But it gave you a taste anyway, like
exactly
what it could be like, and wow, that sounds amazing. What were the like daily tasks?
Okay, so if I remember this correctly, so we worked 4 days a week, and then we didn't work on the weekends, and then we'd have 1 week on, 1 week off.
Is it?
Yeah. And then so you had the opportunity, if you didn't want to take that week off, you had the opportunity to go to the other camp. So that we're split into two, basically.
Okay.
Some of us were working with the underprivileged community in the place that I talked about before, like in the outside of Puerto Vallarta, and then some of us were working with a kids camp where we take kids from a local orphanage and take them to this sports camp where they could like play with other kids, interact with other kids, play, like get healthy and like move around basically outside of their orphanage. So if you weren't working, I was working at the underprivileged community. So if you had a week off, you could go to the kids camp and like help them, and things like that. So every day we'd wake up quite early, I think like 7 a.m. Dress up, and this was during summer, so it was hot. It was as soon as it reached like 9, it was hot. It was like, forget about it, like it's hot. And then we'd get taxis to a bus stop, get on the bus, go to another place, and then get a car to where we were actually going to teach. And sometimes we'd be like in a sometimes we'd be like in a pickup truck and sitting in the back of the pickup truck.
What?
Yeah.
Was that meant to be, or like out of like, what do you call it, off the record?
Out of necessity. I'm not sure, but it was fun anyway. And it reminded me of Nigeria, so like it was fine. So yeah, sometimes we'd do that. So we'd do that like whenever we were working, and then we would have activities set up. So we had pre-planned activities before we got there. So each I think it was each 2 days, one person would have their activity plan, do that. one person would have the activity plan, do that. So when it was my week to lead activities, I would lead them in something. It was either English or I did sewing classes with them, which they really liked. It was really cute. They sewed like little stuffed animals. It was so cute.
Did you know how to do that before?
Yeah, I can sew.
And is that a particular skill from you, right? Like it depends on like what skills you have and what class you can.
Yeah. So yes. So people were offering the things that they could bring, whether it was arts and crafts, things like that, or if you were more sporty, because Loughborough is a sports university. If you were more sporty, they would put you in the sports camp with the orphanage. But it was really cute. So we would do that, and then at the end of the day, we'd also serve them lunch. And then at the end of the day, we would like pack up, clear up. We were working out of a church, so we'd pack up, clear up, take the things, and then head back to the hotel, bus, car, whatever, and go to the hotel. And then it would be like 4 p.m. when we got back to the hotel. And then after that, you could do whatever you wanted.
Nice. So coming to that. So what did you do after work?
The beach was like a 5-minute walk away from our hotel. So we would regularly go to the beach.
Nice.
There was a pizza place we used to like. We'd go there a lot. We'd like explore the local shops, like the boutique. And then this in the actual city center, like city center proper, there was like a boardwalk.
Broadway, like a huge.
It was like
street.
Let me Google it. Hold on.
Go for it. Broadway.
It was called Emalikon, which is like a Emalikon broadwalk. It's like a broadwalk across and the front of it is the beach, and then it's like a paved bit all down the beach. So we'd go there. They had like little shops, boutique shops, they're kind of touristy.
I was going to say, like, it sounds very touristy.
It was really touristy, but they were cute. So we would buy things. We would go to like Senor Frogs, which is like a restaurant in Mexico, and I think in the southern part of America. And we'd just like chat, get to know each other, because this was like the first time all of us were meeting each other when we weren't learning Spanish. So we took pre-Spanish classes also before we got there. Nice. But this is the first time we were kind of getting to know each other. We'd do that, and then at night, like on the weekends, we would go out like clubbing. Nice. In like they had some gay bars and stuff like that, and like other places. And girls got in free, so it was fun.
Oh, nice. So that's a tip. So, and it was safe. Did you feel safe like all the time when you were there?
I definitely felt safe. They did give us advice. Exploited or like, or think bad things didn't happen. Oh, sorry. I think my internet connection is...
No, it just went like a second.
Okay. So, they gave us advice on things to do. So like make sure you get into like taxis that are specifically taxis for that place. Don't get into like cabs that aren't marked or whatever. Don't walk home alone at night. Actually, don't walk home. They said don't walk home alone. Don't walk home at night in general. Take a taxi. Don't go off into like weird areas. Things like that.
Things that you think that is common sense, but it's not, because a lot of people do.
Because a lot of people do. But for me, we live in London. I live in London. I used to live in Nigeria. You should know these things.
No, but you'll be surprised. I know.
It's true.
But, and you don't know who's listening. I mean, it might be a person who's just lived in the UK in Durham in the Lake District.
Okay, I'll get into more. Then also don't be too overly friendly with strangers, because you don't know them, so you don't know what they're planning to do with you or what's going on. Stick to your friendship group. Like, if you're going on a night out, I feel like in the UK, it's easy to go off and dance with other people and like maybe spend the rest of the night with them. Don't do that. Go home with your friends that you know. Things like that.
100%. Another topic that I wanted to go through was racism. Did you experience any racism during your time that you even like? Yeah.
No.
It was good.
No. it was fine. Like I barely even got stared at, which is like I feel like as a Black person, when you go abroad,
You
like
get stared at a lot.
the first thing that happens there, you're like, oh, they're not used to seeing Black people. It's you
Yeah.
getting stared at. And in Mexico, I barely even remember getting stared at. Like it was completely. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened.
Were there a lot? Were there other Black people around? Like, did you?
Yeah, there were other Black people around. Black Mexicans around.
Okay. So they
a few here and there. There were some Black Americans as well.
Yeah, of course, because it's next to America, isn't it? So
yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense. Well. So they do, yeah. So because obviously people have misconceptions before they try something for the first time. So it's good to like hear from first experience exactly to say like it's not actually like that. Me and your brother and Folo actually went through this same topic, about how for example, Spain, it's very racist in many ways.
Listen, we'll get to Spain.
Yeah, we'll get to Spain, exactly. And then I'm like, but then I do have friends who are Black and they've never had a big problem. They have problems, obviously, like for sure, but like big ones, which is like violence, when it's aggressive, then it's bad.
Yeah. I think when people ask about racism, they're like, am I going to be violently targeted?
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the time the answer is no. But in some places, but that's like the main question people ask. But then there's some microaggressions in different levels that people have less of a tolerance for.
100%. Depends on your personal tolerance more.
It does.
For me, I'm so used to it now. Like,
oh no, that's not good.
Like being in Europe, like being so whitewashed a little bit, you just kind of be like, ignorance. Like you tell them off, or
your screen is green again.
No, don't worry. It's gonna be green then. Like we can't do much about it. So it's it depends on each person. But then obviously hearing from you, then it will give certain audience the fuel to say, all right, okay, it can't be that bad. So they will hopefully make the decision to try it out at least, knowing that this is not the case, which many people think it is, that, it's really racist to the point where they'll beat you up on the street, like randomly.
Exactly. No, it wasn't like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, if anything, I faced more microaggressions and racism from my fellow volunteers than actual Mexicans.
That's bad. That's actually bad. That is bad. Yeah. That's funny. I would not have expected that at all. No. That's crazy. What was I gonna say? Was there any did you try any local food?
Yes, I mean, we tried all the local food. Like
how was it?
We walked around and made sure we tried as many local things as possible. Okay. It was really good. They have this thing where they have like coconut and chili. I can't remember the names of anything anymore. They have it on the beach. It's like coconut and you have chili with it, and that tastes it tastes really good.
Is it dessert, a lunch, a snack?
No, it's kind of just like it's kind of just like a beach thing, a beach meal.
Okay,
it's weird.
You do eat it, like you eat the actual coconut. What do you call it? I don't even know what it's called. Like the inside, the white
chili
bit.
With the white bit with chili on it.
Okay, and that's it. That's the.
That's the food.
It's just like burning coconut.
Yeah. But it was good. There was this place opposite our hotel, and it was like a local place. Like it was mostly locals in there. There weren't any tourists. And people had been eating there before. They're like, "Oh, have you tried it yet?" I was like, "No, I haven't." So me and my friends went there, and I ate it. And this is one of the best foods I've ever eaten in my entire life. It was this enchilada. It was amazing. Like, it was amazing.
What is enchilada?
Enchilada is like, okay, people know fajitas, right? It's like a tortilla with meat and like vegetables inside, wrap it. And then you have two, and they put sauce on it, and they put cheese on it, and then they put it in like a grill or broiler. And I do not know what kind of sauce, what kind of recipe, the best thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure it gave me it might have given me food poisoning because I was sick. I was sick like 2 days after.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, but I was like sick for 2 days after I was sick.
Yeah.
And while I was sick, I literally asked, like, could somebody go across the street and get me that enchilada? Because I'm really hungry and that's the only thing I want to eat. It was crazy. But it was,
You went back for it, even though it was making you sick.
Exactly. Wow. It was like
it must have been that good.
It was so good.
Wow.
It was so good.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, but the food there is amazing, like as you would expect.
Yeah. The last question from Mexico would be, what is the top thing that you learned during this experience? What was it? One thing that is like will be on your mind for the rest of your life and it's helped you progress, you know?
Oh, that's really interesting. I think I learned from there that I definitely want to work in like non-profit charities, helping people that don't have like the same privilege as me and they haven't
100%.
had the same opportunities as me and stuff like that. I think that's probably the biggest lesson I learned from there. But I also learned that like Mexican food bangs and I need to go back again.
Nice.
You know,
We'll go together. I really want to go. We can even like take Felix with us, babysit him a little bit.
Exactly. I'm down. I'm so down.
Now the flights are really cheap. I checked the other day on on my email, and it was like Air Europa was like 200 euros to Argentina. Because like
really?
nobody's going. Nobody's going. Yeah, there was a friend of my girlfriend's. She got back from the UK like a few weeks ago, and she said there was 5 people on the whole plane.
Really?
And there were like 6 air hostess, and there were 5 passengers.
God. That's insane.
They were private jet, like basically.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That is crazy.
The economy is going to shit, like really going to shit. Yeah, it's disgusting. But yeah. So yeah, we could go to we get a test done and we go to Mexico.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. I just want to ask, you prefer to talk about Madrid next time, or
what time is it?
Yeah, that's what it's.
Oh no, we can talk about it now if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, because we started kind of late, so.
Yeah, that's cool. So obviously now you were talking about you now want to work at charities or non-profits, and that's what you're doing right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely that 1 month, 6 weeks of being in Mexico has brought a lot to you about knowing yourself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's why we want to move on to the next topic, which is your next experience after Mexico. Was that like something that you already knew you were doing, or like kind of just popped about during the year? I
did not know I was going to do it. So after I came back from Mexico, it was my second year at uni, and I knew I wanted to take a year abroad, a placement year. Not a year abroad. I knew I wanted to do a placement year, like a year in industry. And after like Mexico, and I realized like I wanted to be in non-profit internships or internships are very few and far between. Yeah. Placement year internships for the whole year are very few and far between. So I was like, oof, that's looking like it's not going to happen. I applied for different things, looked like it wasn't going to happen. Okay. I even applied for things that weren't to do with like non-profit. So like I got into the final stage of like a Microsoft HR interview. And I feel like maybe they could sense that I didn't want to be there because I did not want to be there.
Yeah, you did the interview and they were like, okay, nah, she doesn't know.
Exactly. So because I was in Spanish class and I was still continuing Spanish, they were like, oh, guys, there's an opportunity with the British Council to go and teach abroad in Spain. And I was like, oh, this looks good, because I had already gotten my teaching English as a foreign language certificate from before. I was like, oh, I'm qualified. Like, let me see what it's about. So me and another friend, my friends influenced me a lot. Me and another friend in Spanish class were like, okay, we haven't found any placement things. We don't know what we're doing. Let's just apply and see what happens. So we applied to do that. And then I got accepted. And then I was looking for my place. It was trying to place me in where I was going to be in Spain. And then I was like, oh, right, I should probably like give up on the other things and tell my parents that I might be moving to Spain.
You had to choose three places,
Yeah.
regions of Spain.
Yeah.
How did you choose it?
Okay, so I asked advice from a lot of people. So from my Spanish teacher, and then my friend who lived in Spain for most of her life. And I was trying to pick like Barcelona and like other places, and she was like, maybe don't pick Barcelona because they kind of mostly don't speak Spanish there, like Catalan. So like you'll be learning Catalan, you won't be learning Spanish. So I was like, okay, fine. Like, where do you recommend? So they said like in Andalusia is really beautiful. Maybe pick there. I picked Madrid because I was like, I'm a city girl.
And you already went. You already been. You went on holiday.
So, yeah, exactly. And I was familiar with it, so I picked Madrid. And then I think I picked like, what's the province that's like really close to Portugal called?
Like Extremadura.
Yeah, Extremadura. Yeah, so I picked Extremadura as well.
That's very peak, right? Very cool.
But that was like my last option, right? Okay. So it was going to be one of those. But that's how I did it. I kind of asked around and asked people and asked them what they thought.
What would you say? How would you say the process was easy? To get it, I mean,
relatively easy. Yeah. You just had to kind of write a statement because I was applying to so many jobs anyway. Like it's kind of just like in the stream of like job applications. Why do you want to do this? What qualifications do you have? What prior experience do you have? British Council makes it quite easy. Like it's kind of like another job.
They didn't even do an interview with you, did they?
They did not do an interview. I think there's no interview. No. I think if you apply to other countries where you're teaching at university level or higher secondary school, like Latin American countries, I know China, they do interviews, Hong Kong, they just started that, and I think they're doing interviews for that. If you apply to that, you do have to do an interview.
You do inequality, yeah.
Yeah, but in Europe does not care.
There's no levels.
Please, anybody come in, everybody.
No, anybody who can speak English, literally.
Exactly. Yeah, literally.
And you don't even have to be, for yours, maybe you do need to be a British person, right?
I think you need to be a native speaker.
Yeah, you do. So you got it, you got the job. And then what was the next thing? Like you planned, like you moved out, how was that?
Yeah, so I had to tell my parents. But this was easier, obviously, because I'd already gone to Mexico.
100%.
The main concern here was there was nobody around, as in like I didn't have like a network of people around me if 100%. Something happened, things like that. And I was like, listen, it's like a 2-hour flight.
Yeah.
I will make 100%. Friends while I'm there.
Yeah,
and my friends can be like the network, right? If I die or whatever.
Yeah, I always say that as well. I have this exact same mentality as you. But obviously, I don't have my parents around because they're in Hong Kong. I mean, they don't have a 2-hour flight. But then I make my network kind of like my close friend, my family. So then I'm like, okay, if anything happens, I know that there are somebody
is here, at least. So when that was done, I was like, okay, I need to actually start getting prepared. And then just slightly before, I was looking at places to stay because I had to come up with my own accommodation, pay for my flights, and things like that. So I was looking for some apartments in Granada. I was based in Granada. So I was looking for some apartments, joined some Facebook groups, and like just started packing up stuff that I would need. And then my mum and my brother came with me the first time to drop me off. And I was just staying in an Airbnb because I still had to like go on to viewings and look at apartments and stuff. Yeah. And then they left. And then my friend who went to Spain with me. She was in another part of Spain, but she came to visit Granada and like helping me out. We stayed in the same Airbnb and like we went sightseeing together because I think it's more fun when you
have a partner
with someone else.
100%.
Exactly. So that was fun. But then, so it was mostly just finding accommodation and like getting my way and understanding the layout of the city, if that makes sense.
How did you find it in the end? And what was the process of that like?
Honestly, kind of pretty arduous. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of hard. Yeah. Because there's a lot of apartment options. You don't know anybody. And in Granada in Andalusia, they have a Spanish accent that is kind of difficult. So I couldn't really understand what people were saying.
Yeah.
So I would just spend the whole time asking people, "Oh, please, más lento, like, please talk more slowly to me." Like, I was just wandering around like the whole city. So it was kind of slightly overwhelming, kind of hard, but like you just have to push through. And like once you have that apartment and you've moved in, and you're like, you know.
But of course, like, how did you get it though? Like, then, like,
how did I get the apartment?
Yeah.
Okay, there's this website called, I just wrote this down and I can't remember the name. Hold on.
I don't know. Yeah, go on.
Idealista.
Okay, yeah.
Idealista was the one I used basically the most to. Like,
did you go through a person or a real estate agent?
It was a real estate company, but the person had posted it on the Idealista website. But they're like, people post it that are like actual landlords, real estate companies, and then people just looking for like a roommate. So it has like the full spectrum of things. I went to see like one or two. One of them was really sketchy. The other one was kind of far away. And the last one I saw was like just right. It was like in the middle. It was like kind of, the price was kind of high, but like I didn't care. Because it had,
what
like,
fees did you have to pay? Yeah. Because obviously.
So you paid a deposit and 1 month's rent. So that together was like 750 euros, something like that.
So it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but like still, I was like, ouch.
It wasn't that bad, because in Madrid it's a lot worse. It's one like it could be up to 1 month of paying the agent, the real estate agent, 2 months of deposit. Yeah, that's like 2 months, and here is 800 euros a month. And then sometimes if they're like, I don't know, crazily anxious about their house, they could ask for another month of security, whatever.
Oh, that's really bad.
Very extra.
Yeah.
They put in a lot of conditions, so it depends on the area. But yeah, Granada sounds normal. Like
it does. Yeah, it was normal, and it was like moderately priced.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So nice. So, but Idealista was the app that I used on my phone.
Nice. So yeah, you're now there, you're settled, and then the first day at school, what was school like?
Okay, so the first day at school, I had talked to the person who I was going to be working with, the English teacher there. We met in Granada before that, and we like had coffee and like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the first day at school, I get to school. I'm being introduced to like every single teacher in the bloody school, like one after the other. After it's like mucho gusto, like one after the other.
And I bet you didn't remember any of the names.
Not at all. No, I didn't.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
And I get introduced to everybody, and then I have to. It was kind of just like a whirlwind. Like it kind of just blew past me the first day of school, and then I go into a class and I have a presentation about who I am and like what I do and like where I'm from and stuff like that, which went okay. The kids were like cool, like they were just
they didn't care.
They didn't care. Well, they didn't know what to think basically. But I was like, I'm going to be your teacher for the next year. And they're like, all right.
What age were they, by the way?
The first class I taught was SO1.
Okay. So they were 11s.
So they were in.
Oh, no, sorry. Year 7s. Sorry.
Yeah, they were year 7s.
Yeah.
It's bumped up one age bracket in Spain. So it's 12 to 13. They're 12 to 13.
Okay, so year 7, year 8.
Year 7, year 8. Yeah. So. Yeah, so they didn't really care. But then when you get to the older levels, I feel like I like teaching older students because at least they have like a common sense, right? Like a base common sense, right? So you can explain things to them and it makes sense. But younger students, I'm like, ugh.
They don't get it. Don't get it. So, yeah. Nah, I get you.
The older students were more excited and like asked me more questions and things like that. Like the most common question I got was, "Do you have a boyfriend?"
Yeah, my God, that's actually that's what happened to me as well. Like, do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a girl? Like, they're really interested in
I'm
this.
like,
I don't know why. I
I don't
don't
know
know
why
why.
either.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
assume that you have to have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and not
exactly. Because
you're not
I'm
gay.
older.
Yeah.
They think yeah.
You're not gay or something, you know? It
Mm.
is very interesting. Like, it's not just me then. They actually, like, every single school,
They ask
they
everybody.
ask the same question.
They ask the question.
Did they ever ask you any awkward question? Like, really awkward, not like this, like, highly level,
Um,
like,
one student asked me out.
really?
Yeah, like fully. He was like in English too.
In
I was kind
English?
of proud. I
He
was
was
kind
trying
of
to charm
proud.
you.
Yeah, but I was kind of. It was at the end of the year, so I was kind of proud that he learned enough English to actually ask me out in English.
He did well. Now he's ready to go to England.
Exactly, but I was like, no, you're 14.
Some of them do ask for like your Instagram and stuff, but then I tell them,
Exactly.
well, after the job, then
After the
maybe,
job's finished,
yeah,
yeah,
because
exactly.
during you can't,
If you're
obviously.
still interested, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um,
That's interesting. That's funny. That's really funny. So what? Okay, so after that, yeah, let's talk about like making friends because that's a big one. Like in terms of going to anywhere in general. So how did you make your first friends when you were in Granada?
yeah, friends was a wild ride for me. So, I, yeah. So when I first got there, luckily I shared a house. So one of the girls in the house was doing the exact same thing as me. She was also a language and
That's interesting.
auxiliary, and she was like doing the exact same thing as me. So I had someone to go to like the orientations with. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
someone to show me around, basically. So there at the orientation, I didn't really make that many friends because I don't know, it was just quite overwhelming. And there were a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and like you were talking to a lot of people, but nothing
Yeah.
really stuck.
Yeah.
But I did get on the WhatsApp group chat for the auxiliars, and this is the place that you can make friends. Like WhatsApp group chats for
Yeah.
auxiliars, that is it. Facebook
100%.
group and that is like the two places.
There's always one, yeah, for 2020, 2021,
Exactly,
English language assistant.
exactly.
Mhm.
That's what you do. So they had like gatherings, and I'd go to the gatherings and talk to some people, but nothing was really sticking. So I kind of just stuck with my roommate, and she had lived in Granada before, so she would take me out to different places and like show me different places. So that was fun. And then one day on the group chat, someone was like, "Oh, I'm around this place,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna have a coffee. Does anybody want to come and come with me, like for a walk?" And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, that's cool, near my house." My roommate was busy with something,
You winged
and
it.
I was bored. Like I was just bored at
Yeah.
this point. So I was like, "Okay, fine." And I checked her profile picture, and she was black. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was black. Yeah, like let me meet someone else that's black. So I like literally texted her and was like, oh yeah, I'll come meet you. So we met up, and then we made friends, and like she became one of my like long time friends in
Nice.
like Spain. And then I made friends with her friends, and like we were like a threesome kind of thing happening, and it was fun.
Nice, nice. So,
It was
so in
that
the
was
end, it
how
was okay.
yeah,
Like you made your little group. Did you ever get to meet
my
any
little group
Spanish
exactly.
friends? Like Spanish people that were there, that were
Yeah,
from there?
yeah. So the way I met Spanish people, the way me and my friend that was from my uni, that also came to Spain, met Spanish people was I used a language exchange website. If you literally just type in language exchange like website, you can make a profile and then put your location as Spain and Granada, and then you can meet people through there. But also like don't meet strangers on the internet, but also do, because that's how I made friends. But it was kind of a sketchy website. I'm not gonna lie, but I did meet this guy who was from Granada, who was like who was around my age, and
Uh-huh.
he was really nice, and we spoke in Spanish, and like we used to meet up like every 2 weeks, and it was really
Nice,
fun. So don't use
nice.
it, but do use it. I'm not sure if I'm recommending this or not. And then the
What
other
would
ones
be
to
the
meet
no? But
people.
what would be the red flags? Like obviously, if they do use it,
Um,
what are the red flags?
Okay, so I'll just give you an example of one of the people that I met there that it didn't go well, right? And you can pick out the red flags from if you want. So there was this guy and he messaged me. You people don't really put profile pictures on there. Okay. So this guy messaged me and he was like, oh, are you in Spain? Like we can do a language exchange, blah, blah, blah. Are you in Granada? We can do a language. I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, okay, this is my number. Like, let's talk on WhatsApp. So we moved to WhatsApp and I was like, okay, when do you want to meet up? Like this is this. I'm like around, we can meet up around here, here, here. And then he was like, oh yeah, we can meet up like that, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, which one of the beautiful chocolate women are you in your profile picture? Because it was me and two of my friends and we're all black. So he was like, oh, which one of those are you? And I was like, oh no.
Oh shit.
No, I actually want to learn. I was like, I actually want to learn Spanish. Like I wasn't trying to like, right. So
that's funny.
So like I blocked him and after that and didn't meet him again.
That's funny.
So
I mean, somebody do use it.
Pick out what you will.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, red flag. Yeah, that's a big red flag.
If they're trying to use it, exactly. If they're trying to use it as a dating app, that's a red flag. Yeah. But also saying that, me and my friend also use dating apps to meet people.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, it's not actually that bad. Like, people do use it, and things do happen.
But then just do it on actual Spanish dating apps.
Yeah,
actual dating apps instead of doing it on a language exchange website. Like do it on a dating app. That's 100%. But yeah, you can use dating apps as well. And like Bumble, I'm not sure how popular Bumble is there. Tinder's really popular. Tinder's like kind of so that's how I met Spanish people mostly. Nice. Not gonna lie.
Nice. And okay, so like all these experiences with like the new friends and stuff. Did you go through anything that was particularly like crazy? Like any stories that were like, oh my god, like that was really good or that was really bad?
Really good or really bad? Let me just think.
Clubbing, nights out, house parties.
Nights out.
I don't know.
Nights out, house parties were relatively. The problem was, second year of uni, my nights out were way crazier then. So by the time I came to Spain, I had actually calmed down quite a bit, and I was relatively normal. But it wasn't that crazy. Like it was just
normal
Spanish nights out. Oh, we did get into a fight once. Because some guy was trying to grab me and then my friend told him to go away and then they like started getting into a fight. But that's kind of mild.
That's kind of mad and normal. Were they Spanish or like?
They were Spanish.
Oh God, it's crazy.
Yeah, but no, I don't really have any bad or wild stories from Spain.
And racism? So we were on racism before.
Racism. Okay, let's do racism. So in Spain, the racism for me was like in microaggressions. There was a lot of staring. There was a lot of staring. And the place that I taught was actually slightly outside of Granada and it was a small town. So I got stared out constantly. At the end of the day, I was just like, by the end of it was kind of normal. Like it was like, as if like, it was just every day. Like you start to not notice it because everybody's staring. At first you're like, it's something on my face. Like it's something in my teeth, but they literally just stare at you. And even if you stare back, like they will continue to stare.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, it was a lot of staring. And then like sometimes on the train, people would like move their bag away from me, like as if I'm going to steal their bag. Things like that, like microaggressions like that were quite relatively common. But I think like the dating app, the guy that the story I told about the guy with the language exchange website, there's a lot of fetishization of Black people, Black women. They think like Black people are a certain way, like, you know, like from watching American music videos, I guess, like, you know, with the hip hop and
all the twerking and all that stuff.
Exactly. So they think that it's like, and there's a fetishization there that's kind of gross. But I haven't, nothing drastically bad has ever happened to me, but I was in Granada, which is like a smaller city, relatively safe, university city. And I don't think, so I think everything was kind of smaller scale, but maybe if you're in Madrid and stuff, it would be worse. I've had people say Madrid is not that great to be while black. Like I've known people that had bad experiences. I would say this in Spain, like I feel like the force of their racism is targeted towards Muslims and Chinese people.
100%.
They have a real problem with Islamophobia and racism against Asian people. If you look Asian, it doesn't matter what kind of Asian you're. So not really South Asian, more Far East Asian and stuff like that. So I would say like I feel like that's mitigated like the effects on black people, but like Asians and Muslims, the casual Islamophobia is wild. The casual racism towards Chinese people, wild. I've never seen anything like it. and
you're not even Islamic nor Chinese, and you felt it, so
exactly. So
that's pretty bad.
Exactly.
No, definitely. I can tell you from personal experience, it's true. It's definitely true. That's why I was saying how I kind of just feel normal about it now, because I'm just like, yo, that's how they are. Like, I don't know what to do about that, you know.
Yeah, but I really don't, because I think the Chinese community in Spain has been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
Right?
A long time.
But it seems like they're just as casually racist as if it was like 1980, like as if it was the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird to me.
For me, I try to do my little part to just be like, yo, I talk to as many Spanish people as I can, one by one, and that way I can just change the perception. And they do. I mean, my girlfriend is a great example. Like, exactly. That would have never happened if I didn't go to the Canary Islands. She told me herself, like, she told herself that she would never be with a Chinese guy, like, before, you know, when she was younger. Yeah, or like things like this, you know, it's honest.
What's the reason?
They don't even know. They just have this perception. I don't know.
That's crazy. Actually, sorry, that sparks a memory. My friend who was in a smaller place in Spain, and she had a lot of Spanish friends. She remembers them talking about black people, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, like I would never like marry a black person. And then another girl was saying I would never have sex with a black person. Like, no. And then they're like, oh, I just think they're ugly. So that kind of thing, that kind of racism as well, directed towards black people, and I think Asian people too, is quite common.
It is very common. It is common. But then again, like, it's about us traveling there, of course, to show them, no, that's not it. Like, there's more to Chinese people, there's more to black people, there's more to Islamic people, you know. So that's why we're here. You know, we try to encourage more people to go out there and fight. Obviously, it's not easy because you do get hit a lot by this kind of little micro aggressions, whatever. But you just have to keep fighting on.
But I will say equally, like, if you don't want to fight, you don't have to. Like, I mean, just, you know, I mean, I feel like in Spain, them seeing black people as like, that you can be tourists, you can be from different places, you can be from the UK, you can be from America, you can be from African countries, and like as human beings walking around is good as well. But if you don't want to have to like battle against like their racist ideas, like, and you don't want to like emotionally tax yourself like that, honestly, it's not, you don't have to, like, not everybody 100%. Can be a freedom
it's not for you. It's not for you. 100%. Exactly. Nah, you're right. You're right.
It's exhausting talking racists down. Like,
of course. It's not aggressively talking them down, just even having a general conversation. Like, sometimes it can be hard. So obviously you pick the right minds. You pick the guys that you see like there is a potential that they could change. Just the fact that they're even talking to you, you know, shows that there is probably a possibility that as a friend or whatever, you could change their minds a little bit, and then hopefully they can influence other people, which is happening, which is exactly what's happening. And I can tell you that myself. I'm changing the perception of so many people just by being me and be like, oh, this Chinese guy, but like he's different. Like he's not like what we see on TV. Like that really makes a difference. But yeah, that's it's a long topic, and yeah, hopefully we have more people who are there to join the revolution.
Yeah, what I will say is like you shouldn't let it discourage you, like because there's racism wherever you are. Like there's probably going to be racism unless you're in like in like an entire Black or an entire Asian country. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly.
So you shouldn't let that like not leaving the UK because you're afraid of racism. Like there's racism in the UK.
In the UK,
you might as well go. You might as well go sightseeing. With a side dish of racism instead of like sitting at home with a side dish of racism. Do you get what I mean? So 100%. You shouldn't let it discourage you. Like even though it's there, like it's there where you're from. So just go out and like we take in different cultures, see different things, and like interact with different people.
Take the positives from it.
Yes, and it will build you. Like focus on yourself, and it will build you. And just cross your fingers and hope like nothing bad happens. But like it shouldn't be something that discourages you from traveling at all.
Would you, like, after the language assistant experience, would you go back and do it, or like do something else in the Hispanic world?
Yeah, so definitely something else in the Hispanic world. I'm not too sure about Spain, just because I kind of have like a been there, done that mentality with Spain. When I was there, like I traveled around Spain a lot, and I did see like the different parts and stuff like that. So I'm not sure about Spain. I would consider doing something in Barcelona, because I really like that city. Nice. But in Latin America, I definitely want to like move there and like try or do something there or something like that.
Do a road trip or something.
Exactly. And teaching assistants teaching abroad in general, I really feel like that's a good way to like live abroad.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And get paid and like
you're rich. You're rich in that job. Like you don't do it much and you get paid 1,000 euros.
You get paid and you get to travel, and like even in like other countries, like in Asia or in different countries, like I really feel like it's a good way to see the world.
Yeah.
So I recommend.
Nice. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I usually do this. Can you think of a question for me? Maybe like a question about traveling and what a listener could be interested in.
Oh, I wish you had asked me this before, because I would have come up with a really good question.
You don't have to. No, it doesn't matter. It could be anything, because you know me, innit? So like it could be anything.
Yeah, that's true. So what has been your favorite city that you visited, like you traveled to and visited, like so far? In the world.
What? That's the best city? Yeah,
like the standout city.
Wow, that's very difficult.
Really? Okay, if there are multiple ones, you can talk about multiple ones.
Okay, so the first one will be Madrid. I really like Madrid. I feel like Madrid is a very balanced city. Like it has a lot of people, but at the same time, it doesn't have too many people like in London. So it's crowded enough that you have enough things to do. So on a good on a normal pre-COVID or post-COVID times, you will see like loads of parties, loads of events, so many different types of people. But it's not that there are too many international people. You still get to like in the center. So like say in the center of Madrid, you will still have a lot of locals, which you don't get in some cities. So say like in Hong Kong, right? You go to Hong Kong, you go to the center of Hong Kong, you will meet a lot of foreigners, probably more foreigners than normal Hong Kong people can't afford to live in that central area. Whereas in Madrid, you still get like a lot of locals. Actually, your neighbors could just be normal Spanish people. So I really like that, and the architecture, the vibe. You still have and a good economy, like a relatively good economy compared to the rest of Spain. So in that part, I really like that,
Okay.
the city. And then I would say another city that I really like, Venice. I don't know if you've been to Venice.
Yeah, Venice is so nice.
It's so nice, right?
Venice is so nice.
So I went with Felix. I went with your brother the first time,
Oh, right.
and it really
That's really romantic of you guys.
yeah,
Bromance.
yeah, it was one of the best trips ever. And when I got to Venice, it was like, what? Like every single spot was a photo spot. It was amazing. But then what I didn't like about the city is probably like the whole tourism over tourism. The people, the Italians, like, the guys that were actually working at the restaurants, etc., they will haggle you so much, like every 2 freaking seconds. They're like, "You want to come in? You want to come in? You want to come in? You want to?" And they're really nice here, haha. And then, as soon as you start ordering, they forget about it, and like they know, okay, you have to pay. So like, you just don't feel that good because they just treat you like a tourist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know, like, about your experience, but that's how I was like.
The first time I went, definitely the same. So I've been twice. I went when I did that road trip, and then I went when I was in Spain. I went to visit my friend who was doing a placement year in Venice,
nice.
Which I was like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. But the first time I went, I definitely felt like that because we were sticking to like a lot of the touristy spots.
Of course.
So it was definitely that.
And there's not that much more to it, right? Like it's really small.
Yep.
And
exactly,
everything's tourism.
Everything's tourism. But when I went with my friend, because she had lived there, she knew some of the more low-key spots, and she went to uni, so she knew some of the more low-key spots, the more studenty spots. So it was much more calm, and there were more locals, I guess. Can you call them locals? Yeah, I guess people live in Venice. Yeah, locals there, and it was like much quieter, much calmer, less touristy. And then, the food was really good, and like the vibe was really good. And then she lived on an island that's away from the main island.
Okay, yeah, I get you. The main area. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that little island was very, very picturesque, very cute, very chilled. So that trip was much more calm and made much more sense.
Yeah, find a local there. Find somebody who's been there and done that. Like, that's probably the biggest advice for anybody.
Definitely. It
changes a lot of things, because obviously me coming to Spain, it's thanks to the guys we met when we were at school. They live here, so they know everything around here. So you won't get lost. Definitely. You get the cheapest food. You get the best food. You get to meet the local people. It's just a different vibe. So yeah, it's different type of traveling, and definitely, like, we are talking about travel living, which is to go there and live, not to obviously do a 3-day trip. Then try and either meet somebody or already like get some contact, because everyone has contacts. That's the thing. People don't think that maybe a friend of yours has a friend that's living in Venice or has a friend that's living in Madrid, and they will be the first guys to show you. And you don't know, like, you might just end up hanging out with these guys who are locals, and that would just change the experience. But yeah,
it's true.
Definitely.
If you have a friend that's like international, like, ask them. But if you get here, like, try and make friends with locals. It can be kind of hard because some locals are kind of reluctant to make friends with 100%. Foreigners. But if just try your best, like,
there's always those locals who are like international locals. I think they've lived abroad as well, and they just happen to be around town. So that's a way. That's definitely
true. That's true.
Anyways, thank you so much, Amara, for your time. That was such a good conversation. I had a lot of fun. I hope you do, and I hope the listeners have learned something. I bet they did, because we did talk about a lot of topics. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk soon again.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Thanks.
So that was the end of this episode. Hope you learned a lot about the art of travel living. Make sure you give us a follow, subscribe, and likes so that I can make more useful and fun content for you aspiring travel livers. Thanks for listening.